G'day guys and welcome to the Online Computer Coaching Podcast with Tyson Anderson from onlinecomputercoaching.com. Very big thank you for joining in for the podcast today. I muchly appreciate your time, just taking time out of your day to listen to what I've got to say. I'm going to delve into today's podcast, which is all about choosing IT as your career path. So I'm just going to dedicate a bit of time to talk about choosing IT as a career. And it's very daunting to make that decision, I guess, to make any career your own, and I've chosen IT, at least for right now, and I can't really see it changing because it's a really good career. And I guess I'll delve into what IT is, the tasks you can do in the different types of professions, and the characteristics you'll need to succeed in the IT world. It's changing ever presently. I'm just going to assume that's a word. I'm going to make it up if it isn't already, and just talk about go a bit more into detail with the career path and talk about the pros and cons of the technology world and working in sort of the IT business, and basically finish up there really. So what is IT? That's the big question. So IT is information technology, so it's basically a business or people using computers, mobile devices, basically any kind of equipment that enables them to do a specific task or sequence that they would normally do. So, you've got computers at, I guess, stores. They do transactions. Basically, that's an element of what they do. Then you've got people work at an office which support their businesses and able to get processes done like accounting and many other sort of little bits and pieces like that. So, and I guess our job is, on a very basic level, is to support this information technology equipment, and I guess make everything talk to each other. Like if you're in networking, you make the network devices enable internet access and talk to or get sort of file service happening, and many other things. Web servers is another thing. So that's a little bit of a business look at it. There's lots of little things to it. There's also, I guess, programming, which is kind of not IT, but it's in that sort of area. So I guess I'll go into the different professions that are sort of in the IT industry. So you've got obviously your support, which is generally where you start out. It's not always that way, all depending on what kind of experience you have and whatnot. Then you got sort of your networking stream and your security stream. So I guess in support, you're dealing with a lot of end users with computer problems, mobile phone problems, access changes, also password resets, and I guess you get stuck into those tasks and many other little things. That's just a few examples of some of the things I do in my role. Many more though. So I guess with your networking, you're setting up switches, routers, setting up firewalls, monitoring, I guess, networks, and there's many sort of elements of that. You've got to know a bit of security, which delves into my next bit with security, and that would be sort of, I guess, monitoring your network. And I guess there's also like cyber security, which is where you can really sort of delve into the, I guess, police side of IT, where things can go wrong. You need to get data, and there's all sort of certain processes involved with, I guess, being in the security field. And it's a very, very tough field to get into. You have to obviously know a lot of support and networking and a lot of things, and have multiple years of experience to actually get into the security field. And those certifications are crazy by what I've seen online. So those are sort of some of the different professions. There's many more. I could probably dedicate a whole podcast to them. And the next section, I'll delve into just the characteristics you'll need to, I guess, excel in, and I guess have a lot of trust and faith in them. So you've got communication from the top. It's so important. Without it, it's going to be very tough to be on the same page with your co-workers if you're working in sort of an organisational setup. Communication will stop redundant communication. So if you talk to your colleagues, keep them on top of things, let them know about big events that are happening. Say, for example, internet is down over here, it's best to have everyone on the same page, so then there's not multiple people staying out of the loop, and it's so important for customers as well. You definitely want to be keeping in touch with them. You want to confirm, and always verify that everything's working fine, just so they're happy. And I mean, that's one thing that probably not many people in IT do very well, is communication. And so it's a tough soft skill, and I'm still learning to this day just how to effectively communicate to, I guess, any stakeholders in a business and things like that. So another little key characteristic would be patience. Sometimes customers can be a little bit tough to deal with, so you've got to be, I guess, you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. No doubt about that. So you can't assume they have the same knowledge as you do, and unfortunately, I mean, that's why we got the job. We're in that kind of role because we probably know a little bit more than, I guess, most people with technology. I'd like to hope so if they are supporting an organisation. So, and that's another thing too with waiting for email responses as well. Sometimes you're just waiting for approvals, or you're waiting for certain emails to come through, and it can sort of test your patience slightly when you know you can do what you need to do, but you just need to wait for something else to happen before you can actually go on with your task, for example. And sometimes things just don't work, and they should, and it's very frustrating. And that's just another key element of just having patience. And I guess another one is IT skills, which is probably more so hard skills, the skills that you actually need to, I guess, to perform your role in an organisation or wherever you may be. So with this element, you definitely want to probably have good solid experience. You want to, I guess, fix computers at home, manage your own, even help family, friends out, whether you get payment or not from them is another thing, and probably a whole other podcast to it. Eli, the computer guy, has some very interesting thoughts on that from a video he had a while ago with mates rates. Very interesting. And obviously, you'll definitely want to get a little bit of education at a school or community college or something like that. Even online is so valuable. And obviously, I've got some videos myself. And certifications, definitely want to get stuck into some of those, at least your A+, and CCNA as well, if you're interested in a bit of networking. But your skills definitely hold you in great stead, and they're a great basis, but obviously you want to continue chipping away at them, but have a heavy focus for the soft skills, because, I mean, if you don't know how to fix a problem, that's all good and well, because you generally have a team around you. But if you can communicate to the customer effectively and say, okay, it's going to be okay, everything's all right, I'm unsure why, but this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to fix it. And if you say the right things, then they will have trust and confidence in you, and they'll generally give you the benefit of the doubt, even though you don't know what you're doing technically, if such a situation were to arise. So, look, that's how it rolls, I suppose, in the IT world. Critical thinking and problem solving is a big one. You are forever coming up with random problems that come your way during any given day, and it's crucially important to have a bit of a thinking and problem solving process. There'll always be random things that happen. You apply a process to the same problem and it doesn't work, and then you're like, what the heck's going on? And there's this random rule I learned from Ty Lopez, and you learned it from someone else: ask why 3 times. So this can be, I guess, to any sort of task you're assigned to, and any problem that, I guess, a user gives you, you can ask them, or I guess you mentally use the process in your head. Okay, why isn't that connecting to that network properly, and what would be stopping that? I guess it's a matter of reflective thinking. Asking a lot of questions really helps you think, and I guess come up with a valuable solution that can help the customer and you resolve the issue. So divide and conquering is another element to the critical thinking and problem solving element as well. Rather, you can't eat a big elephant all at once, so it's certainly good to just make subtasks of I guess a big project, for example, and that can certainly make it a lot easier, and you can sort of solve through it much better there. And I guess it's sort of simplistic, but really think about the problem before fixing it, and because sometimes you think the problem may be X, Y, or Z, you think, okay, maybe it's a wireless card, but that could maybe be a symptom. You really have to sort of dig deep back and really sort of go through all the possible scenarios, and it's a little bit of trial and error as well. But yeah, it's just a matter of going through that process. Just I guess be diligent in the process you go through to solve problems, and you'll be dealing with those every day, especially if you're in support, and probably many more roles as well. And another one, I guess, is teamwork, which is I've got the last one here. You're probably always going to work in a team. If you're working in IT, obviously, unless you can do absolutely everything, and congratulations, you're absolutely amazing if you can. But yeah, as I said, most likely going to be working in a team 99% of the time. So it's certainly good that you, I guess, again, it ties back to communication. You've got to have great communication skills so you're able to work well as a team. You've got to have great etiquette as well. Be mindful of others, understand everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and understand which people are involved with certain areas. Like you've got your support, your infrastructure, and you might have your business applications as well. And I guess there can be other departments, even within your own IT department. So it's always good to know who's good at what, and obviously assign the tasks to people's strengths and their interests as well, I suppose. It's not always going to be perfect, and teamwork, sometimes can boil over. Sometimes there's, little, hissy fits probably wouldn't be a great word, but, little tiffs and stuff, which can happen. And as long as there's humans, there's going to be issues. So, yeah, and it's just best to just be pragmatic about it. And if there's any dramas, obviously, as you'll often say, managers are good people to talk to, or try and sort it out yourselves. Use a bit of critical thinking and problem solving if you are having any issues with a colleague. But most of the time, it's pretty well all right. Unless you do something catastrophic, you're generally okay. And as I sort of mentioned from the top, communication. If you communicate well to your colleagues, you're going to get the best results, and certainly going to do well there if you keep that communication happening. I've mentioned it a lot, and it's probably the most important skill because it can, I guess, contribute to success anywhere. It doesn't have to be IT. It can be, if you're great at communicating, you're going to do well in life. So certainly make that a big, task for you to do well in. So as I alluded to earlier, the soft skills are arguably more important. If you don't have the technical aptitude, you can learn that much easier than you can maybe, patience, communication, critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork. They're arguably more important, as I sort of mentioned. You can sort of learn those hard skills on the job with mentors, with, other colleagues you work with. They can certainly help you with, problems that come up from a day-to-day basis. And I'll delve into a little bit more about career paths. And so generally speaking, most people will get their degree, or they'll get a diploma or something like that, and they'll get a help desk job probably. I'm in a support role at the moment in a company full time, so I'm super wrapped with that. And it sort of goes into, it can be level 1 and level 2, and sometimes even level 3. And you've got your desktop support or desktop administrator, your junior systems administrator, your networking team, and you've also got management for either support or infrastructure. It all depends on how the organisation's laid out, and sometimes there'll just be a guy that just does nearly everything. So, and what I've probably understood is, I think a while back I remember reading just about the more responsibility or the higher pressure there is for you to deliver something, basically the more money you earn. It's quite interesting. I feel like if you're managing multiple people, you're responsible for more. So essentially you get paid in, relevance to that. So if you're a doctor or a neurosurgeon, they get paid really big bucks because if they get, a couple of milligrams out, if, they're doing surgery or something, that can be, the difference between someone living or dying. So they earn the big bucks. Don't mean to sound too dark, but so that's sort of a little bit of an introduction to sort of the career path and what to expect there. Pretty basic, but I could probably dedicate another podcast to talking more about it. And the final sections I'll sort of delve into now. Sort of the pros and cons of, I guess, the technology career path. So I'll just delve into the pros here. What I do like about technology is it can make you look like a wizard, and some people are like, wow, you really did that, it's amazing, and you look like a genius and probably smarter than you actually are. But I don't want to be condescending or rude to the world, but I think if you've got really good common sense, that's half the battle. And because it's just a lot of problems and fixing problems is simply just taking time to read instructions, and then lots and lots of practice and knowing how it all works, which, again, not the average person that isn't in IT would probably be able to take the time out of their day, and they've got other things to worry about rather than, that's what we're there for. So that's one thing I really like. Satisfaction from solving problems is another one. Yeah, when you fix something up, you just feel like you're improving, you're becoming better and better by the day when you do that. And I certainly do love it when solving problems. And I've got down here in my notes here, there's something about password resets I love. I mean, that'd probably make someone or most people in the technology industry cringe, but it's so simple. It's generally so simple. You can just right-click, reset password, and then all of a sudden the person can work again. So I find it really satisfying when you can just get a problem out of the way, especially when you spend a bit of time on it and then you finally get over it. It's amazing to get the job done there. There's a lot of new problems that present new challenges. So as I've kind of alerted to, there's never 2 days the same. So I could probably say that about a few roles in a few certain industries. But look, there's always new technologies coming out. You're always updating, I guess, your hardware, software. So there's never sort of 2 days that really sort of you think, was this the same as yesterday? There's always random things happening. Backup systems are sometimes different, and just whatever you're responsible for can sort of just change. Not necessarily day-to-day basis, but a lot of the times over a certain amount of time, things become different, processes change, and got to be really dynamic in that sort of sense to be able to keep up to date and, I guess, keep fresh and on top of things. And another one, the final pro I've got for now, is reasonable money. It's hard to really say. I'm just in Australia. The money's pretty decent. Certainly not doctor salary, but it's certainly pretty good. Keeps you honest, and I don't want to be disrespectful to people who do hard labour. I mean, I don't know what the money is like for them. I heard it's pretty decent, but I'd rather do what I'm doing than be outside and get sunburnt and everything. But in saying all that, really do appreciate what they do, and probably should appreciate it more. Really, it's we're both using our heads, and they're certainly using more of their bodies. So certainly, if you want a bruise-free career with the body, certainly IT. So you can probably want to stay away from the hard labour there on that one. And the cons, there's not too many, but I've got a couple down. It can be taken for granted sometimes. I find most people, especially if they're your own customers, so if you're in an organisation and you're doing the support for the people in your organisation, most people are pretty good, but there will always be some that don't appreciate you or think you don't really do anything, and it's funny and interesting at the same time. But it's always going to happen. There's always going to be type A personalities and people that think the world owes them something, and that's fine. That's what you deal with, and that's what what you're signing up for, I suppose, helping anyone and everyone. So that's another aspect there. Things not working when they should, and I'm probably sounding like a sort of amateur spud here by saying when you put the settings in right, you've done everything right, there's no reason it shouldn't work, and it doesn't work. Like, I guess there's certain systems that should normally work and they work for other people, and it doesn't work for someone else, and there's nothing different, and it just does your head in. So like I had one recently, had a printer that was offline because I was doing a few changes at this place, and then had to get the IP address manually off them, then log into that portal, and then had to change it back, even though it's always been set as, I guess, a static IP address. So funny how random things happen, and that's probably just me being inexperienced, but it certainly keeps you on your toes for sure. And again, sort of, I guess, like the first one, difficult customers. There's all, I mean, it's kind of reiterating the first point. There's always going to be people that are going to bust your case and be all over you, and so really sort of want you to know what you're doing. And look, that's going to happen. Once again, people expect you to know the answer. You're the IT guy in the IT department, so you've got to have a fair idea what you're doing. But it all comes with experience, and that's probably the main thing to take out of it. The more years, or I guess, the more years you delve into it, the more you get to know how to deal with people, and I guess effectively deal with problems. And once you have your communication, I've banged on about communication all day here. Once you have that all sorted and make yourself want to improve it, then it's certainly holds you in great stead for sure, and for not only the organisation you manager, for yourself personally, and any other future endeavours you try to do. So I'll leave it on a final note here with the podcast. Don't go into IT for the money. Do it because you love helping people solve problems. That will be my final word on that one. Simply, if you do it for money, you will get burnt out very easily, and it's just not worth it in the end. You'll do your head in. You have to actually like solving problems and helping people. I will leave it on that. But that's all from the podcast today about choosing IT as your career path. So I've sort of just had a bit of a chat about what IT is in a business sense, the kind of tasks in different professions involved, and the key characteristics you'll need to do well or succeed in the IT industry, and went a bit further into the sort of career paths and how the traditional path goes. Also had a bit of a look at the pros and cons of the IT industry, and there's some it's a very interesting and lucrative career, and I'm only just at the beginning, believe it or not. I feel like I've been in it for a while, but really only had just over a year of, I guess, real full-time exposure to, I guess, an organisation, reasonably large one. So, look, it's been an amazing experience so far, and that's it from me today, guys. I really appreciate you listening in, and don't forget to subscribe to me on iTunes, and also I've got plenty of videos on YouTube for more technical stuff, I suppose, on there. This is sort of slightly less technical and a little bit more sort of free range IT stuff. So feel free to just have a look at a few of my other podcasts in iTunes. I've got obviously the introduction and a few other ones there. So muchly appreciated for your time today, guys. Feel free to just keep clicking back and listening into these, and be muchly appreciated. And have a lovely day. Again, thank you for listening. I'll catch you guys on the next podcast.